It's Mr. Van Drew.
Thank you, Chairman. And just before I begin, I want to associate myself with the remarks of Congressman Stober, who just spoke a little while before. I would maintain whether you are union, non-union, whether you are a passenger, whether you are a repair person, just an American, whether you're a resident, people want to be safe. And some of the attitudes and philosophies, unfortunately, in some areas, and they are unfortunate because we no longer enforce the law. When people do bad things, when they commit crimes, they have to be punished. That's just fair. That's fair and equitable justice. So I think Mr. Stauber brought some good points out. But I'm not here to speak about that. I'm going to ask forgiveness from my colleagues on both sides of the aisle because I'm going to speak a little bit in a parochial way. I'm going to speak about southern New Jersey. For those of you who are familiar at all, southern New Jersey is much different than the northern part of the state, which is very compressed, very packed, which is the suburbs of New York City. Southern New Jersey is beach and bay, even rural. We have lots of farmland. And of course, I have the largest congressional district geographically in the state of New Jersey. It's almost half of the state. And my district has perpetually been suffering from a lack of access to public transportation. We're seeing the most impact of this is people's ability to get to their doctors, to get to their pharmacies, to get to their grocery stores. It's real, and it's a problem. I know it's not easy because it costs a lot of money. But coupling this with the concern of small and local physicians and pharmacies, their doors are closing, many of them. It's changed. They're big centers. Many people, or especially the older population, are traveling greater distances than ever before. So over the years, I've personally worked with groups such as the South Jersey Transportation Planning Organization, New Jersey Transit, to address these concerns, but I want to push it a little further. Believe it or not, I want to learn. So at this time, I'm asking all of you for any suggestions, all of you in your field, to provide guidance, suggestions, assistance, whatever we can do at the federal level to bring more public transportation to my home and my district of South Jersey. It still matters there. We have many people who retire there from the city of Philadelphia, from other areas. During the summer season, it's not as much of an issue because the routes have increased our population in some of our towns by July 4th, because we're so tourist-driven, goes up tenfold sometimes. So are questions that we can now start from the beginning, just go right through. Are there any specific groups that you all think that my team should be working with? What avenues have you seen to be most successful? Dusty touched on it a little bit, Congressman Johnson, I should say, in public transportation in rural areas. What are the strategies to make this better? Not every town is a teeming city. There are places that are more spread out and more rural. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your advice. I really mean it. So I'm going to start with you and go right on down the line.
Thank you. Everything you said, it is, we see it. Ridership is important, but how you connect people to where they need to go, those critical services, particularly in rural areas, is real. And through the funding that we receive, because the way that FTA works, we're considered an urbanized transit system, and so our funding comes through 5307. The rural transit systems are funded under a different category, if you will, and I think it's taking a look at, again, how that, we work closely with our rural provider and understand the challenges that they have, and again, many times, every single year, we invest in that rural transit system in the spirit of partnership, knowing that the needs of those in the rural community are real. They have a difficult time getting, like to your point, to a pharmacy, to a doctor's office just to get groceries. And so a suggestion I would make, again, is looking at that funding piece that goes to the rural portion and understanding if it's adequate. From what I've been told, at least from our rural provider, it's a challenge. And so funding continues to be a challenge, not only in the urbanized areas, but also in the rural areas. And you'll hear me say this again and again. If you've seen one transit system, you've seen one transit system. They are all funded differently. It is that three-legged stool. So at the local level, if it's sales tax or property tax, that varies all across the United States. And the level of funding that you get from the local or state level will depend on how much service you're going to provide. Fair revenues only cover about 30% of operating. And that's across the board. And so again, it is looking at When you invest in transit, you're investing in the economy, you're investing in the quality of life for people in your community. So it is looking, again, at those funding levels, and are they adequate to even meet the needs of your community, those rural community residents, and working closely with the FTA in terms of those funding mechanisms that are specifically addressed for rural transit agencies.
So I thank you. It was a good answer, and you ended up speaking for everybody, but that's good, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Ms. Titus.
Well, thank you very much. MJ, I was proud to join